Okay, good afternoon, everybody. It is the last day of November, which means December 1st is tomorrow, and that's crazy. So I am here with my sweet friend because that's what she is now after about almost a year of working together.
Yeah.
Yes, but her name is Brittany Bradshaw, and this is the success profile where we take people within our business community and we interview them and we ask them about their story. And they're people who have just stepped up and have worked hard, and we just feel like a lot of people could relate to. And so Brittany is definitely one of those. I won't get too much into her story because I'm going to have her share it. But if you don't know me, my name is AbbyKLife, and I am from Kansas City, Kansas. Brittany's on the Missouri side. I'm on the Kansas side. That's okay. We still love each other. But I have been with Prove It for almost 8 years. I was at the round table before we launched the company and got to preview the technology. And I just remember taking my first sip of ketones and thought, wow, people can feel this way after one sip. This is something like, people say, here's some vitamins, they're good for you. When you say, here's some ketones and they drink it, they're like, this feels good for me, And so I was like, I would love to be a part of a business bringing this conversation into the marketplace. And it went really well with my background of just helping people get healthy. And so that's my passion. And I met Brittany at a real estate conference. And Brittany, I'm going to let you go ahead and just tell the story with, how we met and how you came to hear about ketones and what you were doing at the time. And what did that look like? Share that story with us.
Okay, so it was around October of last year. I was invited to a real estate. It was kind of like a workshop, lenders, insurance agents, real estate agents. And Miss Abby spoke on, I think, day 2. And in my personal life, it was hectic, right? Because I was a real estate agent, very busy. I almost said no to going to the event because I had too much on my plate. Went, and she talked about biohacking your body and being able to, even because I've done the weight loss, I've done the meal prep, all these things, but I needed simple, right? Because I'm a busy mom of 4 and I needed simple. And she made it simple. She's like, you can get in ketosis, you can have these benefits, you can actually focus and feel good without having to be so routine and so strategic. And that was it for me. I was like, okay, tell me more. Because I needed something I could take with me on the go in my car and not have to take 55 pills. And I mean, I take supplements, but you know what I mean? Like, I needed easy. And she gave out some samples, and I think it was day 5. There were 5 samples, and it was on day 5 that I called her after being on it for 5 days. And I said, I need more of this, and then help me lose some weight. And so she introduced me to more products. I was doing ketones, and I did a reboot, and I'm down now 30 pounds. I had lost 13 in the first 2 weeks, and that was game changer. I kind of was like, okay, this works. I feel great. I have energy, and I don't get home from picking up my kids and want to take a nap. And it kind of just put life in perspective. I was like, this is what it feels like to actually enjoy being. I mean, I tell people all the time, ketones have completely changed my mood. I just am a happier mom and a happier person overall. So that's kind of where I met her and how I got started. It didn't take me long. About, I think, end of December 4th, I decided I was going to do the business. I think it's December 4th. So I got on products end of October. A month in, I was like, I see the potential here. And I definitely wanted to be able to trade some of those real estate hours for hours with my family. And I knew I could take this with me anywhere and do this anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, and tell me, let's go back to just your experience with the product. I know you said you lost 13 pounds, like in the first, what you said, 14 weeks on it, or I'm sorry, 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then went on to lose 30 pounds. So, and that was by March.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
5 months.
Yeah, yeah, that's big.
Yeah.
And did you, I know you have said you didn't do any kind of diet.
Mm.
What, and I'm sure people are skeptical and they're like, oh, well, you can't just lose fat by taking a product, but like, what were some of those things about ketones that helped you lose that fat other than just drinking them? Like, was
Yeah. I definitely, so in the past, I needed, you know, it was like I thought I needed food all day, like a lunch, a snack, and then a dinner, and then a snack. And when I got on ketones, I found I wasn't as hungry. It allowed my body to kind of like me to kind of feel my body and to be like, okay, when am I hungry? When am I not hungry? I also started intermittent fasting, and I had tried this in the past, and I was like hangry mom. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't sustain until now. Sometimes it's 1 o'clock and I still haven't eaten, and I still have that like focus, and I still have, I feel good and I'm in a good mood. And I know the only difference was ketones, because I don't eat terrible, but I still wanted to be able to enjoy like a weekend. If we wanted to go out to eat, I didn't want to have to stress about like what I was eating. So I just kind of made the ketones fit into my life, and it was so easy. I drink them twice a day. And I mean, I even have alarms because I don't want to forget them because I know how good it makes me feel. And sometimes, an hour or two will pass by and I'm like, what's missing about my day? And I'm like, oh, I need my ketones. So I
Mhm.
definitely think that it's just a mental thing. When you can start to feel your body and you feel better, just feel better, you make better choices. I was so bloated feeling and just kind of like, whoa, like bogged down. And I don't feel that anymore. And I think that the only thing I can attribute it to is ketones and just this community too. When you're part of a community that everyone feels good and wants good, it just drives you. It continues to
Yep,
keep you healthy.
motivated. So you did not do the keto diet with the
No,
ketones.
no, no. I mean, I don't even eat meat, so that would have been really hard for me to do
Mm,
keto. I do eat fish, so I do a lot of my protein that way. But I think that's why I stress so bad about, if I needed to lose weight by just diet alone, I would have to be really, really strategic and count my macros and count, and that it's not bad. And people who want to do that, I'm just saying, in my lifestyle with 4 kids running from here to there to there, it wasn't sustainable. And
yep,
then sometimes if I tried and I failed, then I would give up. And this
mhm,
has been, I mean, it's been over a year and it's been very sustainable.
yeah. And other than, obviously some like the appetite suppression, the losing the cravings, obviously that we get from the ketones from sugar and things like that, and the ability to intermittent fast. Okay, those things are all there. You lose 33 pounds. What other benefits did you see other than fat loss when you began the ketones?
Oh, lots. Like I
Mm,
said, mood was a big one. I wasn't like on antidepressants. I was on anxiety meds, and I just would get so anxious. And a lot of that was overwhelmed with like my workload. Right. And so then when I was on ketones, it kind of just calmed me a little, and it allowed me to focus. So the focus and calmness have been huge. I love that. Also, honestly, as a mom, I feel like I've been a really big example for my kids. They drink ketones. They know that it makes them feel better. Like, we were in Colorado, my son had a headache and he's like, Mom, I need a ketones and a Mitoplex. Like, he knew that that was going to
good.
make him feel better. And so
Yeah.
I mean, just the fact that we all are paying attention to that, and we know, and
Mhm.
like, I would eat when I was stressed, and the ketones haven't, I don't feel near, I mean, obviously everyone has stress, but I don't feel near as stressed, and I don't emotionally eat. I
Yeah.
eat when I'm hungry and I'm full. Like,
Yeah.
the appetite suppressant is amazing.
Yeah.
And I've been lifting and working out, and so being someone who doesn't eat meat, it's always been hard for me to hold muscle and just maintain that. And I feel like ever since doing ketones and Mitoplex and the Keto Pros, I've been able to like actually see muscles.
Yeah, and you look incredible. I'm sure people can go to your Facebook page or Instagram page at Brittany Bradshaw and just look at some of her crazy before and after pictures, but that's awesome. So Brittany, I know like you are a mom times of four. You were a full-time real estate agent. What on earth made you decide to add one more thing to your life? You know, a lot of people are like, I can't handle one more thing, but you're like, give me this other side business here. What happened?
Yes. So I've always been someone who I want time with my kids. When I was a full-time, I used to be a full-time teacher. When I was a full-time teacher, I struggled because I wanted to be home with my kids. So I took a little bit of time off, went back to teaching. I want to be the one that picks them up. I want to be present. And I know it's not always going to work out, but with real estate, it was becoming like 10 times worse than it had ever been. I thought, oh, I'm going to have a more flexible schedule. No, you do not have a flexible schedule because you're at the beck and call of your clients. And if you have 3 or 4 clients at a time, and this one wants to see a house, and I'm sure most of you know the market has been a little crazy, and especially 2 years ago, and you have to see it then. And it doesn't matter if you're 10 minutes from picking up your son from school or soccer practice or whatever. And when I saw the potential here, and knowing that I could take my phone with me, be at games, send a quick message, talk to people, get things done in like the nook and crannies of my day, I didn't have to say yes to every client, and I could have weekends. Like I used to be the yes. So we, in our real estate page, have where people might just say, hey, can someone do an open house for me? And I was always the yes girl because you get clients from open houses. And I've actually gotten a significant amount. I haven't done an open house in almost a year. And
Yes.
it feels good. And I mean, I love meeting people and I love doing those. But when I want to, wintertime, my kids aren't in as many sports. I might want to do one. But man, it felt good to just be present for my kids. And even my son, he's 10 this year in football. He goes, Mom, you only missed one game. And that was because you were in
Wow.
Cancun.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that I didn't even know he was that I didn't know he was
Oh,
noticing that I had been there every day this year versus last year, would leave in the middle of his games to go show a
yeah.
house or to go do things. So adding one more thing has now almost allowed me to not let go of real estate, because I love that part of it and I love helping people, but I want to choose who I work with. If my friends need me, if I get a referral from a friend, but I don't want to just work with anybody. And I used to worry about money because of that, but Prove It has completely changed that. It's definitely matched. What you put in is what you get. And I feel like I can do even more here. And I'm excited for that. So,
That's amazing. Okay, so you decide I'm going to take this on. I'm going to start a side business. I'm going to start something that produces some residual income that I can work from my phone on. What are some of the immediate wins that you've seen in the last year, just on a businesswoman level?
well, growth, man, the leadership that is provided here is top notch. Like, I've paid to go to leadership things and to go to trainings, and you get this. And that's just being in the room with some of these top leaders and the things they've gone through. So, business wise, I feel like, and that helps with my real estate business, that helps with me as a mom. It's not just pigeonholed to this business, which I think is awesome because they really do care about you becoming a better person, well rounded. And that was very attractive, and that has grown me as a person. I honestly can tell you, I used to be really shy to do things, and I'm an outgoing person, but I didn't want to do stuff online. And I was almost hindering myself because I've met so many amazing people, and just I've been able to help people that are complete strangers to me. I actually got a text today and she's like, I'm down 13 pounds. And I think she said 2.5 inches around her waist. Like,
Oh,
this is a gal that I met online, never have met her yet, still in person, but I have a connection with her. And I feel like that's so cool that I can help her from a distance and still be present with my family. That fills my tank, but then it also allows, me to actually help people and truly see an immediate help.
I love that. And you talk about the community. I know that you I think it was even a little bit before your real estate, you had dabbled in another multi-level or network marketing company. And I want to know, just for any maybe network marketers who are watching this out here, what is one of, and you don't have to say the name of your company, but what is one of the biggest difference that you've seen from your former company now than with Prove It?
The biggest, so I think I was even telling you, we went to a trip in the Bahamas, and I was so nervous. It was my first event or trip with the company, and I was nervous that I would stick out like a sore thumb, like I was just brand new, and that I hadn't done very much. And it wasn't like that at all. It was, I could walk in that room and I wouldn't have been able to pinpoint who was making the most money and who was making the least, who was on what team or what. I mean, it was just a family, and that was big for me. Also, like, there, I mean, I'm a true believer, and there is a time and a place to reward people and give people those accolades, and definitely, you know, let them know that their achievements are valued. However, there's also a place where you don't, like, in my former company, I might have made it into leadership and I might have gotten this, but if my teammates didn't, they couldn't even like be with me. I had to be in the, and little things like that kind of made it hard for me to want, because I wanted them to be where I was. And so it almost discouraged people, like it discouraged other people if they weren't hitting certain ranks. And at Prove It, it's all about encouraging other people. Like, I want to take you along with me and get you here. And, you know, it's just so different in that nobody talks about, like, you know, I mean, they talk about, if they talk about money, it's in a positive way. Like, we want you to get here because you'll be set financially free or you'll have options. It's never, I make this and this and this, so I'm in charge of everything. It's
Ego
never
driven.
felt like
Yeah.
that. And I felt like in my other company, I never, we were leaders per se. We made it to leadership ranks. However, I never felt like I got opportunities to lead. And that kind of then made me just kind of shy back, because and so that was big for me. But here, I feel like I'm encouraged to lead, and that fills my cup. And then I'm able to do that with my team too.
No, that's beautiful. I love that. I love you that it's so inclusive and that
Yes.
there's a difference here in community. And you know, I've seen you come to events. I've seen you come to events with some teammates. Let's talk about your very first event that we held. It's called More. And for those of you who don't know, this is a major Prove It does an event every quarter. This one happens to be just really high personal development. And they bring in Tony Robbins' stage partner, Joseph McClendon, and they do coaching and really dig in to people's limiting beliefs and help them break through. And I remember you just having an incredible first event and
Mm.
talking to, man, it was like almost midnight, and you were getting ready to drive home all night to be back
Yep.
with your kids, mom of four. Like, I just so admired that. Like, you're here, you did the thing, and now you're going home all night. You're driving home all night to be wake up and be mom, which I was just so inspired and proud of you for. But just tell me a little bit about that first event for you, and maybe a personal takeaway that you've had in your life that maybe has even resonated, obviously with the business, but outside the business, maybe in your relationships or something like that.
More was an incredible event. It definitely changed the, like, my business. I went and I saw the community. I saw the community in the Bahamas, but it was a little bit more relaxed and laid back. And this was, wow, this community pours into you. And I I can't even describe it, because everyone's voice was heard. That was big for me, that our CEO stands up on stage and actually asks questions and doesn't have a script, and it's just so authentic that you can't leave there and not feel like you took something back. Like, I I might not have spoke, but every single person I heard talk, every story that you heard, it resonated with me in some way, or I was able to like take that back to a teammate, and that was big. It was also the moment that I so we broke this board, and it was basically like punching fear, in the face, literally, and like what you were scared of. And that board sits on my wall right behind my desk. And I was able to come home, and of course, my kids are young, so they're like, "Why do you have this board cut in half?" And I was able to tell them what I did, and talk to them about how, you know, pushing through fear and pushing through things that get really difficult on the other side is usually so much brighter. And so we as a family, we've talked a ton about, like, if there's something we want, let's communicate it to all of us. And this is something that Joseph kind of taught us, is speak what you want and then write it down, put it in front of you, let it be a goal and a vision. You know, I would have goals, but I never would post my goals. And right now, if you were to walk in my bedroom, I have like a board for 2024, and it has my goals and what I want for my kids and what I want for me. So it allowed me to come back and actually have dreams and hopes, because I could hear story after story after story of other families doing it and seeing the success. But then it also allowed me to teach my kids that same thing, and the positive talking, man. I was a very bad negative talker to myself, and I will tell you, even my husband has noticed. He's like, I might say something and I'll catch myself. Like, I'm not very, and he's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "I'm going to work on becoming better at doing that," because I don't want to tell myself that I can't do something or that I'm bad at something anymore. And that's all been from that more event. It's like, stay the course and stay, in that personal development, and only amazing things are going to happen in your business. And so that's kind of been the big shift for me, is like, maybe in my former companies or even in real estate, I might not have been growing as much, like, personally. I come here and I feel like I've grown leaps and bounds. I've been able to transfer that to my kids and into my marriage. And then that has only then spurred, like, my business, and then me wanting that for other people, which is serving other people with it too.
Can I ask, on your board, as we write our limiting beliefs that we need to break through, what was yours?
My biggest one was fear. And it was more fear of failure. I mean, I think I wrote fear, and then underneath it, I wrote failure, being unsuccessful, not making people proud. And I don't necessarily know if that's just stuff I've come up with on my own, but it was always a what if I don't succeed. And now it's a look at, well, what's next? What am
Mm.
I might go through more stuff, and there might be things I do fail at, and there might be stuff that I try and it doesn't work out. But I have this mentality now, then, okay, I've conquered this, or I've accomplished this. Now what's next? What can I continue to keep doing? Because that fear, it'll block you, man. I think I even told you, Abby, like, when you introduced and said, "Well, there's a business opportunity," I was like, "No, I'm not doing it," because I had fear because of what I had done already and what I had been a part of, that I was so, like, shut off to allowing myself to show, like, what are my transferable qualities from real estate and from teaching, and how can I take that here? And the company, they show you that, and not only do they show you that, they encourage that. And then they continue, like, we have leadership calls, we have things that continue to keep you. And if you're choosing not to grow here because of that, that's a you choice. I feel like everything I plug into, I learn more. It does. I mean, I could probably be here for 10 years and I still want to learn more. So I think that's been a big one for me.
I love that. Brittany, I remember just when you first came into this business, we call it ignorance on fire. And you had so much success with the product that you were attracting so many conversations. And I saw you kind of level for a while. And then I saw you go to a playbook event, and I think it was Boston. This past
Seattle.
Seattle, yeah, a
Yeah.
couple months ago. And then I just noticed this major shift in you. It was almost like dabbling and you were working hard, but I like felt this shift come across like now that like you were a professional and like this seems like more of a professional business to you in the way that you approached it. So what was that shift and what like changes did you apply to your business that you learned there?
Well, there's kind of two. So, one, I asked my husband to go to that event with me. So, Jake and I both were a part of this previous company, and I had always been just kind of behind the scenes, and he was more up front. And in my brain, I was like, Jake's good at this, right? Like, Jake can do this, but I can't. That's what I had told myself. I wanted him to come more so he could see the company, see the potential, see why I'm so passionate. And him being there lit a spark in me, because not only was he there and just kind of at first spectating, being there. he- First night we get to our hotel room and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I can see why you're so in love with this company, and I can see why this is where we're going to be." And that was a big piece to it, because when you have someone else there cheerleading for you in the moments when you might not be having a good day, or people aren't answering their phone, or people are ghosting you, whatever it is, him being there and supporting me and being that cheerleader has been huge. And then, like, him being a part of it, he'll make calls, he'll watch the kids so that I can do a training or be on a training. And that's a lot less stress than me feeling like I was almost, it was my thing and not our thing. And now that it's our thing, I feel it's not even just me and him, it's our family. Like, my kids know that we have goals to reach here. And I think that was a big piece. And then the second was just actually doing the thing. So I was scatterbrained and I was so overwhelmed. And I think I thought I had to do more than I really needed to do. It's really a matter of me sitting down, and it took me a good week or so to sit down and just plan out, like, these are the things that I need to do, these are the things that have made me money, these are the things that have brought me teammates. And I know the whole, you might work really, really hard for a month and not see a lot, but your fruits will multiply. And I've seen that. I feel like I've had conversations with people and I've invested time with people. Went over and sat at their kitchen table and talked with them. And maybe they didn't want to do anything then, but they come back. And I think that playbook, well, I want to say it was Nick who said, send out messages. That made me a nervous wreck. But then I got so many responses like that day, like right back. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Brittany, people want this. And you are sitting here afraid to talk to people when you could be changing their lives. So I allowed that to also propel me to just be like, no's aren't always no's. Number one. Two, if you stay consistent, you will have success. I mean, I do a DMO every day. Sunday, I do take off from, I'll answer if someone messages me, but I don't do my DMOs just because that's my Lord's day. But I found that if I am consistent, it pays off. And also adding Jake into that consistency, because I asked him, I'm like, I want you to hold me accountable. At the end of the day, ask me, how'd your DMOs go? And he does. And that's big too. Getting that accountability piece has, I mean, if I haven't, I'll sometimes be, it's midnight and I'm like, well, I didn't have time to get to this. And he's like, well, do it now. So again, it's that accountability, like, okay. So that playbook propelled to the next playbook because I wanted more, right? Like, I was like, oh my gosh, there are so many people in this company who are doing things that I want to take those nuggets. I went to the St. Louis playbook and I was able to kind of help there and be able to see behind the scenes people's heart. Man, every single person that put in time and effort to putting on these playbooks, they want so much for everyone else that again was just another reason to be like, why are you not doing more? You're holding yourself back. So that was kind of my big eye openers, I guess, in the last few months.
I love that. And as you've, grown more in approaching this like a business, because I know, the real estate industry, it's hard. The mortgage industry is hard right now. Insurance is hard right now, just with the economy. Um, what would you say, to a real estate agent looking at this business who's just trying to make some extra income? What have been some transferable skills that you learned from real estate that you've been able to apply here and thrive with?
Definitely just being able to communicate with people and not be. Don't want to be always online and in the limelight, but I'll talk. I love meeting people and talking to people. So that was huge with real estate. You obviously will end up, you call a stranger sometimes and you have to talk to a stranger. Well, people sometimes think in network marketing that it has to be your only your network. And I've learned that if I get myself in front of other people's people and others people that their networks are huge too. And with real estate, we do that, right? I send out business cards, or I might go to a business and ask them to display my cards. And I was like, why am I not doing that here? So I've done that here. I've gone to my chiropractor and he let me put out something about ketones. I've been able to do ketones at our church. We had a sip and save type of night where people came and did like a small mall type of thing, put out ketones. I have girls calling me, asking me, okay, what was that drink that you had out? We weren't selling it there. It was like a event where people had for free, but it got me business. And I said, why? That was a huge piece. Like, I am doing this in real estate. It's the same thing here. But the difference is I can schedule this when I want, and it's on my time. And in real estate, it was always on someone else's time when they needed to meet, or you have to hit this deadline, or this has to be done today. And here I'm able, obviously when I want to make an appointment with someone, I schedule that out and I can work it around my schedule. Another big one is just the follow up. I feel like I wasn't doing the best follow up here. And I think it was because I was overwhelmed with doing both jobs. When I finally was like, okay, I just as if I was going to follow up with a former client or follow up with a new lead in real estate, that's exactly what I'm doing here. I'm following up with customers. I'm following up with people who might have said they are interested. And honestly, that's a hard skill. Some people don't realize it, but it takes a lot of time, and it takes time to remember who you need to talk with. And I was just willy-nilly doing it at first. And now that I have a system in place, and it has it not only has grown my business, but it's grown relationships with people. People know that I actually do truly care to find out what they're doing and how they're doing, and are they enjoying the products, because that's our goal essentially in real estate and in this business. You want to help the customer, and I feel like that was big here. So
Awesome. That's great. Let's see. Last couple, we'll dial it in. What is one of your favorite personal development books that you've read?
ooh. Oh, there's so many. I would say one of my favorites, it's called Start.
Okay.
It's like basically Start, punch fear in the face. It is really good. By Josh Akoff, I believe. Another one is Chop Wood, Carry Water.
Mm.
That is I've read it 3 times. And it's just a really good practical book about doing the things that you need to do every single day is going to get you to where you want to be, and setting those goals, and kind of that ignorance on fire. You don't really know why you're chopping the wood and why you're carrying the water, but you're told to do it, and that person's more successful than you, so you're going to do it. And I feel like that's kind of here. You At first I was like, well, I can do it, or when I have time. No, when you actually start doing it. And that's a really good book, and I think that's for life too. Rhinoceros Success is also one that I've read a couple times. That's really good. It's about having that tough skin, because sometimes I don't have that tough skin, and that was hindering me. And I
Do you
have
see the
found that,
rhino? Do you see the rhino up there? Well,
yes, yes,
we're big on
that
rhinos. Yeah.
charging forward. I love That's a really good book. I actually I that's probably one of the audibles I listen to a lot. He just has a lot of great nuggets. And when I'm feeling down, or feeling like maybe I'm in a place where I don't feel like I have that tough skin, those are the books that I go to remind myself that it's a system, and it's as long as you stay the course, you're a kind person, you're not, like I feel like in this business, you have to weed out people, and not in every business, but I used to be a people pleaser, and I still want people to be happy, but I've learned that I have boundaries too. And I also, if I'm in my best state and I want to help somebody, like I have to let some of those things go. And I didn't before. And I feel like since I've done that, it's been like, whew, like, I get to pick and choose who I want to work with.
Yeah.
And I also get to pick and choose how, I build this business with my team. And been that's been really big too, because I want to be around people who also want to grow, who want to become better leaders, better parents, better wives, and that's the people I've surrounded myself with, like you.
What's your favorite ketone?
Oh man. So right now I'm like really big on and I didn't think I would like it, the sunrise harvest.
Oh yeah.
It is so good. And it could be fall time
Yeah.
too, but I like it hot or cold. I don't know why I've been doing it hot or cold.
Yeah.
But my all-time like go-to is the blueberry, the one in the like OG. Just I love it with every Mitoplex, lemon, orange, regular. And so that one's I always keep that box, but I'm really liking the Harvest Sunrise right now.
That's awesome. Yeah. What am I on right now? I had rainbow candy yesterday, but I'm actually really obsessed right now with the chocolate proton, because it's been
Ooh.
so cold out and it snowed here in Kansas.
I like hot cocoa.
Yeah, I take that chocolate proton and then I put a little bit of coconut milk on top of it. And then I actually poured in half pack of pudding pop to make it even
Ooh.
more chocolatey and add a few more ketones. And then I put a little bit of keto cream on it and then stirred it all up and then poured some warm water on it. And I mean, I could drink that every night, and I have been, because I always have a sweet tooth after dinner. And it's been like ever since Thanksgiving, I'm starting to see my abs by not having sugar after dinner and doing that. So it's been,
I need to start doing that.
yeah, I'm like, I need to tell everybody about this. So, okay.
I do the chai nights kind of like that. I like it hot and at night with cinnamon, but I haven't tried the chocolate. So I'm going to have to try that.
I add a little coconut milk to that and make it kind of creamy, and cinnamon or nutmeg in it too. Yeah. Love it. Okay. Last, when you first came and Prove It, Brittany first coming and Prove It, and Brittany now, if you could go back and tell yourself one thing, what would it be?
Why didn't you start sooner? I mean, really, like being invested. I think I was still scared or hesitant. And it's silly to say this, but it was like, I was afraid of success, if that makes sense. It's like, I didn't think I could handle another thing or more on my plate, when in reality, I have taken off a lot on my plate and I have added in things that I truly enjoy. And so I would definitely look at myself back then and be like, why didn't you just start that sooner? And because I think I've had several conversations with you, I'm like, I'm so overwhelmed. And you're like, you're working like 5 jobs and you're doing all the things. And so me allowing myself to release some of that. And a lot of that too was pride. I was like, but I worked hard to be a teacher. I worked to be this. And I just was struggling to let it go. And as soon as I did, I was like so able to focus on what I really wanted. And so I think obviously that came from growth here in the company and the people I've been around. But I think when you're first starting, I just needed more confidence in myself. And I think that was something that this company has given me.
Yeah. And I think that is the power of what we get in this industry. Like, so many people will start up an online business and like they'll sell courses or they'll sell a product or something like that. But with what we have, you're coming into a coaching dynamic of a mentor. And I remember having that conversation with you and it just being really powerful. And all I was doing is holding some space for you to process. And
Mhm.
I remember hearing everything you were involved in and just saying, you know, this doesn't line up with what you're telling me is the most important thing to you, which
Yeah.
is presence with your children.
Mhm.
And I do feel like we are living in a day and age where we don't realize how addicted we've gotten to busy, and half
Yep.
the things we're doing are not aligning with like where our heart wants to be. And
Mhm.
I just remember saying, you know, why are you still doing that? You know,
Yep.
and just holding that, just
Mhm.
letting you process through that and come to it. And but you know, I've had to make a lot of choices in my life too, where I'm doing things and I feel like the day gets away from me and I'm exhausted, I'm busy. I'm like, about three of those things I did today were just habits of doing something, but it
Mhm.
wasn't really serving me. And
Yep.
it's definitely wasn't worth the money. It's just something I do this, you know, as kind of an identity thing.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so that's cool that the goal is real. It really is freedom here.
Yes.
Really
Yes.
is freedom.
Yep.
It's
And still, what's hard for me is so many people don't. It's not that they don't want it, because I really believe everybody wants more time and more freedom to make choices and to go on vacations and to do things. But it's the it's it's the attainableness here. Like I told Jake when we were just on a vacation in Colorado, and we were, just sitting and watching our kids. They were running around in the snow, and I was like, this is life. Like, this is what I want to be a part of all the time. And I don't, going to their baseball games or sports, that's the same, but I want to be present. And the nice thing is like, yes, you're going to have to randomly maybe answer a call and do a text, but it is very doable to do the things you want to do, take a break, and
yeah,
focus on the things that you need to do. And I agree. I felt like I needed to be busy because I then wasn't making money, or I wasn't enough. And now I'm like, I am present for my kids. That is enough. And my husband, he's like, you're just happier.
yeah. The thing,
And
the
he
thing that
sees that.
gets, I love that your son knew how many games you missed. Like that. That was probably the most powerful thing I've heard you say, because
I mean,
kids see that
they
stuff.
used to
They
go
get-
to, my kids would go to show, not showings, inspections with me. They'd have to, because I'd pick them up from school and then I'd have one. I remember many a days they'd be sitting with me in a house while I'm getting an inspection done or doing something while they're doing homework, and they're asking me questions, and I'm in the other room and I'm like, I'll be there. And I just wasn't present, even though I thought that they were with me, so I'm present, but I
Yeah.
wasn't. And now, like, we come home, I make them a snack, they sit at the table, they know, like, from the time that they get home until we go to sports, I'm here. I'm like focused on them. And that's been big for our relationships with our kids, but even just my heart and my soul. It fills me up.
That's amazing. Well, you have done an amazing job. What's the goal? What's the immediate goal for 2024, Brittany Bradshaw? What are your big goals and visions this year?
Honestly, it's even on my whiteboard, is I want other moms to have this freedom. And I mean, not necessarily just have to be moms, but just I want to, whether that's me just constantly telling people or encouraging people, I want people to see that they can do this and that they have the potential and that it's possible. Because in my brain, I'm like, no, you don't know how much I make in real estate. Like, this is possible. No, you don't know how much you can make here, and it's very possible. And so I think that's my big goal. Is I was really focused on learning about the community, the company, the products, because they're amazing, and I've love all the things that they've done for myself, my family, my friends. But I want the business for other people. I want other people to be able to be a part of this company and be a part of this business. And that's going to be my big focus, is to honestly just ask everybody, why aren't you doing this?
I love it. Sometimes people just, you can't ask the wrong thing to the right person. And
That's
you're
true.
going to be an amazing team leader. So excited for you. Thank you so much for your time
Thank
today
you.
and cheering you on. All right, Brittany Bradshaw, everyone.